Just basically what we want to do now is hear from you about your project and what you determined, how you determined to do it and how it all went, and then we'll have Dennis Kirksey with the Muskegon Lake Watershed Partnership say a few words.
It started years ago when Eric and we both grew up in West Michigan, and we both have a love for Lake Michigan and the Great Lakes, and we were out surfing one day. I think we were kayak surfing and just spitballing ideas of, you know, what we could do to have some fun, and ever since then, like, we've just been not kind of joking, not so much serious about it, but pretty serious about paddling Lake Michigan. And then just this past year, we decided that we were just going to finally go for it. Like, why talk about it, and why not just approach the idea and start planning for it. And so then Eric moved back from Seattle to the Muskegon area, and I'll let him go from there.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know, I remember talking to Dan, and he was like, I just want to paddle across that lake, man. And I was like, I feel you. I want to paddle across that lake too. But I worked at the Annis Water Resources Institute in college for 2 years. And so I've always wanted to do something for my local environment, or to look into the local environment a little bit more. And so I just figured, hey man, if we're going to do this, we should make it a fundraiser, an environmental fundraiser, and perhaps even collect data, which we did. We got 2 temperature sensors from the Water Resources Institute and trailed them, not from our boards, but from the support vessel the whole time. So bringing data into the mix. And yeah, and then when I got back from Seattle this early spring, we kind of bounced back and forth between training in cross-country skis and training in like insulated rubber boots on paddle boards in the Muskegon River, because it was the only unfrozen water we could find, and we figured out how we would manage the donations through which site, and then got connected with Kathy and Dennis about setting up the fundraiser for the Muskegon Lake Watershed Partnership. And I really love Muskegon. Dan's super invested. I can let him talk a little bit more about kind of this community itself, but definitely wanted to have the impact local in the community that we were going to be returning to.
Yeah. So a little bit about how Eric and I are invested in Muskegon. I work for a yoga studio and juice bar downtown Muskegon called Root Down, and Root Down is very invested into what Muskegon does with community yoga and trying to provide donations for organizations like Community and Compass and 1 in 21, Healthy County Muskegon, lots of other ones. But also, we're both part of the Muskegon Winter Sports Complex and trying to get Muskegon healthier and recreate and realize how beautiful of a space Muskegon is. I hear most of the time people, not most of the time, but I will hear negativity about, you know, there's nothing to do here, and there's, you know, what is it that people see in Muskegon? And there's, I mean, I moved here from Vail, Colorado. I moved back to Muskegon from like paradise, quote unquote paradise, to live in this paradise because of how beautiful Muskegon really is and how much there really is to do in terms of recreationally and just community aspects as well. We have so many festivals here. But anyway, y'all are here to hear about our adventure. So
Hey, you should say you moved back to hang out with your mom.
yeah, and to hang out with my mom, and now to get married. So, but anyway, so getting to our adventure, let's just start on our paddle boards leaving Milwaukee. We got out of the marina and we had a good mile paddle just to get around the break wall, which was pretty hilarious. We're just like, all right, when does this break wall end? And then got out into the lake. The first 5 hours, we were paddling on one side. We had a good north breeze, so we're paddling on our right side for like 5 hours. And then the conditions started becoming amazing, and we were out in the middle of Lake Michigan doing exactly what we wanted to do, and that was just being out in the elements, enjoying each other's company without also the support of our chase boat, and just, you know, we were freaking paddling across Lake Michigan.
Dude, that was so cool.
It was so cool.
The whole support team was loving it. I mean, I don't know how many of you have been out in the middle of Lake Michigan, but just get there somehow. On your own boat, on a paddleboard, take a little bit of, support resources if you're going to do it on a paddleboard. On the Cross Lake Ferry, seeing like nothing but water on either horizon is awesome. Seagulls all of a sudden become your best friend. All of the moths floating around in the water, like you can't believe how many moths there are. But it's just gorgeous. The water is incredible.
Yeah, super clear. So then the middle of the day was just unreal. It was the experience that we were hoping for about, like, what would you say, 15?
6 hours, maybe?
6 hours?
I think noon to 6.
I don't know.
maybe,
I have no
something like
concept of time since we've done this. Yeah, so from like noon until like 8. So like I'd say 8 hours. It was just absolutely gorgeous. And then about 8 o'clock, we were in contact with the chief meteorologist for MLive.
Mark Terragrossa.
Mark Terragrossa, thank you. And he was exceptional. He was giving us information. We were texting him from Eric, had this fancy satellite, I don't even know what it is, it's a text phone. And he was telling us what the weather we were to expect. And at about 8 o'clock, we started feeling this little bit of a breeze that Mark mentioned. Winds would probably kick up to about 10 to 15. Didn't really get too breezy until maybe like 10 or 11 o'clock. Again, my concept of time was so thrown off, but 10 or 11 o'clock when it got pretty breezy.
I think that might have been around the time that a text came in, and my girlfriend on the boat says, well, Mark says the storm's not going to arrive until about 5:30 a.m., so you guys should be off the water, but he also said at the end, paddle your ass off. So we thought, all right, better keep moving.
Yeah. So we had a 55-foot chase boat, and we decided that the best option for us, because I mean, we weren't seeing the lights of Muskegon quite yet, but we were starting to see it glow. I feel like at this point, sunset had gone down. Sunset was, oh my god, phenomenal. But so it was dark out, right? You're seeing stars. So we thought that the way we're going to get in is to get on the port side of the boat.
You were on the north side. Nice job.
And thanks, man. And what we were doing is we were in a line. Eric would be in front of me, and I would be behind him, because we didn't want to get too far in front of the boat where the wake is kind of pushing you out into the swells, and you didn't want to get too far back where the swells were just like hitting you straight on. So we hugged into the boat pretty much about as, like, if this were the boat, this is about how close we were to it, snuggling up next to it for a good 3 hours.
4.5.
4.5 hours. Yeah, sure. Again, no concept of time.
Keep that message consistent.
Yeah,
4.5.
Yeah. And not only was it, you're snuggling up next to a boat, but there were a bunch of gas fumes that were coming off. So what we do is we take breaks where I'd just be like, all right, Eric, you're in the front, come back and get some fresh air. So we would switch out. I would get to the front, and Eric was in back, and so you could get a little bit of breeze behind on the back of the boat. But yeah, it was fun still. I was having a good time, but I would say that I was hyper aware of my surroundings because the waves were building and easily 3-foot waves, I would say, at the end. Maybe some cresting close to 4. Like it would be a really good day to surf. It'd be an awesome. It would have been a good surf day.
Yeah. Sadly, we were like 12 miles still from shore.
Yeah.
Our tracker ended up, we jumped back in the boat through some very tenuous processes that we were working out logistically with our Rockstar crew on the boat, a couple of whom are here today. And got ourselves back on the boat, towed our boards, so all of our equipment was safe, all of our people were safe, and we were really satisfied with that decision. We saw what could have been dangerous if we had fallen, if say Dan fell in front of me and his board hit mine, or he hit my fin or hit the boat in that event, because it was challenging. It was definitely testy to stay on your board, and so we decided to call it, and I gotta commend Dan and just like appreciate him as a paddling partner. And I know that feeling is mutual, which is just such a great feeling, because when we made that decision, it was together. There was no like, sure man, come on, we got it. It was like there was a brotherhood out on the water, and we knew we had if we get back safe, then we succeeded. So I mean, we only paddled 72.7 out of 79 miles, but it was a hella good adventure, and it was super enjoyable.